Shalom. All praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash, and peace and blessings to the 144,000 and the rest of your elect. And this lesson is based off of current events. What happened yesterday in South Korea, and pretty much what happened was the president of South Korea tried to declare martial law, and it caused a great uproar. The opposing party, they tried to rush the building, and pretty much to prevent the martial law from taking place. And it's just showing that South Korea, one of Babylon the Great, America's allies, they're divided, and Korea is already divided. You have North and South Korea, and South Korea, being a democracy, that's already division in itself when you have a democracy, because you have several different parties. Each party wanting different things. Each party wanting what they think best is for people that hold their beliefs. And matter of fact, I'll start right there. This is Mark chapter 3 and verse 24, and I'll read in the King James first. Mark chapter 3 and verse 24, and if a kingdom be divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. So South Korea is divided. Korea is divided. The same thing with Babylon the Great. America's divided on all levels, and pretty much everybody that follows after Babylon the Great, with their democracies and all this, they're all divided, and the divisions are going to increase. These things are going to break out into uproars, into civil wars. So, matter of fact, I'll go and read this in the Amplified Bible. Mark 3 and 24 in the Amplified. If a kingdom is divided, split into factions, and rebelling against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. So just off the news from that happening in South Korea, which this happened a few years ago here in Babylon the Great, and we're in between. The elections just happened. We're waiting to see what's going to happen from now to that election. But in South Korea, it's already seen. The division is there. The uprising happened. These things are present. We can see it. We see that your nation is divided. So it's only going to be so long for these nations to start collapsing one after another, to plunge into chaos. But just showing the times that we're in. Matter of fact, what was it? Let me read this first thing. This is 2nd Ezra chapter 15 and verse 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein. So destruction to the world. This current world that we're living in, it's getting ready to be turned upside down. The destruction to this world, destruction to this way of life, destruction to everything here. The hopeful elect, we're looking for a new world that's ruled in righteousness. Verse 15, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. So you're going to see different wars, civil wars, different things popping off, different wars, invasions, different things. You're going to see all manner of violence, because this is the time period that we're in. This is not a time of peace. This is the time of war. Destruction is coming. Destruction is on its way. Verse 16, For there shall be seen, Oh, Slaki, for there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. So I already have a tab pulled up for sedition, but we're gonna look at the etymology of it first. But let me read this again before I get that. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. So they're not going to regard anything. The people are going to do what they think is right, what they want to do. They're not going to care for their rulers. They're not going to care for their, their elected presidents or their political leaders, any of that. So let me get this edition. I'll just read the Google definition. Sedition is the act of inciting rebellion or violence against the government or the established order. So what you're seeing is they're rebelling. You had the president over there, which I'll get into in the article, but he was saying that the opposing party, they were North Korea, supporters pretty much, and so he had to declare martial law. But we'll go to the article. So this is sedition in the news, and I just went to the past 24 hours. You don't even have to do that because the Korea news, that pops up. Like it's one of the first ones that pops up. So this is from CGTN, and this is an article titled "President Yoon Accused of Sedition, etc." in succession after martial law declaration. So, okay, it'll make me open up the app. That's all right. We'll find another way. Let me see here. Because that's his name, Yoon. Oh. Well, anyway, hey, I already got an article pulled up, so let's go. This is from BBC News. Why Korea's president suddenly declared martial law. This is from Francis Mao and Jake Kwan. So this is from yesterday. It says South Korea's president shocked the country on Tuesday night when out of the blue he declared martial law in the Asian democracy for the first time in nearly 50 years. Yoon Suk Yeol's, and you gotta forgive my Korean, I don't know Korean at all, but I'll just say President Yoon's drastic decision announced in a late night TV broadcast mentioned anti-state forces and the threat from North Korea, but it soon became clear that it had not been spurred by external threats, but by his own desperate political troubles. So he might be troubled, let's keep reading because you might have, an opposing, party that has the majority vote or whatever, and he's trying to keep the power, so by declaring martial law, if it's like here in Babylon the Great, you can't, certain things can't continue. So if martial law is declared, I think at a certain point, that person, that president or whoever that's ruling or in office stays in office, during that period of time while that's declared. So he might be trying to, stay in power. But it soon became clear that it has not been spurred by external threats, but by his own desperate political troubles. Still, it prompted thousands of people to gather at Parliament in protest, while opposition lawmakers rushed there to push through an emergency vote to remove the measure. Defeated Yoon emerged a few hours later to accept the Parliament's vote and lift the martial law order. how did it all unfold? Yoon has acted like a president under siege, observers say. In his address on Tuesday night, he recounted the political opposition's attempts to undermine his government while saying he was declaring martial law to crush anti-state forces that have been wreaking havoc. So it looks like the scriptures are right. He's trying to hold on to power, and while he's accusing people, whether it may or may not be true, but excusing people of trying to seize the government and not let me read that again. Second Ezra chapter 15 and verse 16, for there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another, they shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. So those that are in protest, they're not regarding him wanting to declare martial law. They're just like, no, we're not doing that. But it's gonna ramp up. This is just the signs. Like Yahushua said in Matthew 24, this is just the beginning of sorrows. This is just the beginning. Because you already see that this nation is divided, so it's only going to ramp up and get worse. Tensions are only going to increase until it's bloodshed, until there's blood in the streets. So, back to the article. In his address on Tuesday night, he recounted the political opposition's attempts to undermine his government before saying he was declaring martial law to crush anti-state forces that have been wreaking havoc. His decree temporarily put the military in charge, with helmeted troops and police deployed to the National Assembly Parliament building, where helicopters were seen landing on the roof. Local media also showed scenes of masked gun-toting troops entering the buildings, while staffers tried to hold them off with fire extinguishers. Around 2300 local time on Tuesday, the military issued a decree banning protest and activity by parliament and political groups and putting the media under government control. But South Korean politicians immediately called Yoon's declaration illegal and unconstitutional. The leader of his own party, the Conservative People's Power Party, also called Yoon's act a wrong move. Meanwhile, the leader of the country's largest opposition party, Lee of the Liberal Democratic Party, called on his MP to converge on Parliament to vote down the declaration. So they're all divided. They don't want they don't want this guy to seize in power. Even his own party apparently is against him. So this is all it's beautiful. He also called on ordinary South Koreans to show up at Parliament to protest. Tanks, armored personnel carriers, and soldiers with guns and knives will rule the country. My fellow citizens, please come to the National Assembly. So thousands heeded the call, rushing to gather outside the now heavily guarded Parliament. Protesters chanted, "No martial law, strike down dictatorship." Local media broadcasting from the site showed some scuffles between protesters and police at the gates, but despite the military presence, tensions did not escalate into violence. So it's just the beginning. You see the tensions are there. So how long before there's violence? So that's pretty much all I'm gonna read for that. I'm gonna grab a video real quick to show.
Protesters have clashed with police outside South Korea's parliament, which has defied the president and blocked his move to declare emergency martial law. In a surprise late-night address, Yoon Suk-yeol accused the main opposition party of sympathizing with North Korea. He said the military would take control to eradicate the despicable pro-North Korean anti-state forces that are plunging the freedom and the happiness of our people. It is the first time martial law has been declared since the country's military dictatorship ended in the late 80s. Yoon's approval ratings have dropped this year. He's locked in an impasse with the opposition over next year's budget bill and has dismissed calls for independent investigations into scandals involving his wife and top officials. South Korea's opposition leader called the martial law announcement illegal and unconstitutional.
And so you see it, just hope these things, the things are only going to get worse. So this is Matthew chapter 10 and verse 34, and this is Yahushua speaking. Think not that I am come to send peace on earth. I am not come to send peace, but a sword. So Yahushua, he isn't here. He didn't come to send peace. He came to send a sword. And when he comes back, the earth is going to be in chaos, more chaos than it's already in. You're going to have a World War III fully going. You're going to have the MOTB out. Jacob's Trouble is going to be at its peak. These are going to be times of turmoil. Matthew chapter 10 and verse 34, think not that I am come to send peace on the earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword. Verse 35, for I am come to set a man at variance against his father, and the daughter against her mother, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. And a man's foes shall be they of his own household. So Yahushua is telling you he's came to bring the division. So there's going to be division between families. There's going to be, you see division in the government. How much more all the way down to the families and individuals. It's where they're going to be turning enemies against each other. And how much more here? You see here in Babylon the Great, and there's already divisions here, between ABC communities and people that want to have children, or people that want to live like a straight lifestyle. People that aren't with that, people that want to kill their babies, their unborn children, and people that don't want people to do that. You got people that it's divided all over. People that don't want to be around Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and people that that like them. You got all kinds of divisions here. Political, ideological. But Yahushua has come to send division. I'm going to go back to this. This is 2nd Ezra chapter 15, and this is in the GNT. And I'll start at verse 14 again. 2nd Ezra chapter 15 and verse 14 in the GNT. The world and the people in it are doomed. The war that will bring their destruction is very near. World War III. Nations will arm themselves and fight against other nations. So you're going to be seeing that World War III. Different nations fighting against each other. Nations invading other nations. You're going to be not just seeing this, you're going to be living in this, because these are in the times to come. These are like right now. No telling within, the next, few months, whatever. These times are here. Verse 16, there will be great political turmoil, with one group trying to overpower another and gain control, while ignoring the legitimate government. So you're seeing this, with the South Korea. Here it is. This guy is falling out of power, like he's losing votes, and another group is rising up, but he's still trying to hang on to it. So he tried to declare martial law, to overpower that group, pretty much to take over the country. But you see, it didn't happen. But you see, these things are there. These things are right there. These things are ready to ramp up. These things are ready to pop off. The tensions are boiling. It's ready to spill over. Let's see here. And they said they're a democratic government. Where did that come from? That came from originally, the first democracies, came up in Greece. But who really used that? Who really, how do you say? Who really made that popular? Who really, did, yeah, who made that popular? The Romans. They were a democracy. And then now here in Babylon the Great, everybody's following after Babylon the Great. And Babylon the Great, America is following after Rome. This is where they got their inspiration from. So here, this is Jeremiah 51 and verse 7, and I might read a few different versions. I'll start with the King James. Babylon hath been a golden cup in Yahweh Bashem Yahushai's hand, that have made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. So Babylon the Great. This is Babylon the Great, America, the land of confusion. Spiritual Egypt, spiritual Sodom. This is that place, and it's made the entire earth drunken. And it's not. They're not, physically drunken off of whiskey and all that kind of stuff. No, this is a spiritual drunkenness. They're spiritually drunken. They're not physically drunken because they're here, but after the philosophies, the different ideologies, even democracy that they put out to the world, the ABC, LGBTV, whatever agenda, all that stuff, all the filth that Babylon the Great has pushed out and made the earth drunken. Now all the nations of the earth in this drunken state have been following after Babylon the Great. And one of those things that they followed after was democracy. And the nations are mad. In one sense, they've gone insane. These different nations have lost their minds. They're here. It is. They used to have kings. Now they're electing people. And the elections aren't helping them at all. These things aren't beneficial for them. These things are hurting the people more than anything. Oh, there's one. The New King James Version. Babylon was a golden cup in the Yahweh Bashem Yahushai's hand that made all the earth drunk. The nations drank her wine, therefore the nations are deranged. And so these people are, let's look up that word deranged real quick. Deranged. Deranged is an adjective that means insane, disordered, disarranged. So the entire earth is insane, disarranged. They don't know what they're doing. And insane, I hear the apostle Tahar Salakia go into this a lot, which insane, that's going into the sanitary, meaning they're unsanitary. Which insane, insanus, unsound in mind, mad, insane, insanus, sound, sane. So exhibiting unsoundness or disorder of mind, not sane, utterly mad, used by or relating to insane people. It's going characterized by excess or utmost folly, ridiculous, impractical. So, interesting, because the world is insane right now. These people are out of their minds. When you look at the average person, you talk to the average person, you see what they're thinking about, or what they do every day, or what they talk about. It's like, man, these people are insane. These people are mad. These people are ridiculous. These people are crazy. The type of crap that comes out of their mouth. The things that these people consume. Let's see here. The NLT. That's all right. But actually, here the NLT Jeremiah 51 and verse 7, Babylon hath been a golden cup in Yahweh Bashim Yahushai's hand, a cup that made the whole earth drunk. The nations drank Babylon's wine, and it drove them all mad. So this wine here, this philosophies, these different things that Babylon has come out with, has presented to the world, has made the world drink, has driven everyone, all the nations mad, insane. And it's an influence. You know, hey, Babylon the Great, you're a bad influence, man. You're a bad influence. You know, and hey, the men of the Lord, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, starting with the apostles and elders and their elders of Great Millstone, or I should say that again. The apostles and elders of Great Millstone and their elders, starting with Abba Bivens, have been given the warning out for years that this wicked nation, Babylon the Great, America, which is headed over by the Edomites, is a bad influence. It's a terrible influence, and their influence over the world is going to lead, if you follow them, is going to lead to your destruction. So, you know, Lord willing, I said that right, or that came out right. This place is a bad influence. This place is going to destroy you. Matter of fact, that's a. Let me see here. Oh, come on. Let's see here. Micah chapter 2 and verse 10. Arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest. This world, this current world that's ruled over by Esau, Edom, this is not a rest. So there's nowhere that you can go. It doesn't matter. You can't get a plane, fly somewhere, go dig a bunker or whatever. There ain't nowhere to go. This is not your rest. There is nothing to build here. Because it is polluted, it shall destroy you, even with a sore destruction. So again, Micah chapter 2 and 10, arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest, because it is polluted, it shall destroy you, even with a sore destruction. So how do you depart? You know, by taking heed to the words of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, by believing the warning that this place is going to be destroyed, and by separating yourself from this place. You know, not walking the same walk that they do here. You know, and it starts in your mind. You separating yourself in your mind first. You got to dwell amongst these people. You got to dwell amongst the insane people. But are you going to do like the insane? No. So again, Micah chapter 2 and verse 10, arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest, because it is polluted. It shall destroy you, even with a sore destruction. So this place is set for a very terrible destruction. So if you want to partake with this place, you want to play with the Babylonians and all that kind of stuff, this place is going to destroy you. You're going to be destroyed here. Starting with your mind, and then physically with the ICBMs, the nuclear destruction. So let's see, where was I? I'll go back to this, read it one more time, and This is the Amplified Bible, Jeremiah 51:7. Babylon hath been a golden cup in Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai's hand, intoxicating all the earth. The nations drank her wine, therefore the nations have gone mad. So the nations are insane. This is Daniel chapter 7 and verse 7. And, oh no, I'll start up at verse 7. I'll jump down. And this is in the Amplified. So, starting here at verse 7. Daniel chapter 7 and verse 7 in the Amplified. After this, I kept looking in the night visions. And this is Daniel receiving a vision from Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai of 4 kingdoms, which in the vision they're represented as beasts. And then the vision is broken down to Daniel, that it represents, kingdoms on the earth and not just beasts. So here, Daniel chapter 7 and verse 7 in the AMP. After this, I kept looking in the night visions, and behold, I saw a 4th beast. And in parentheses, I kind of like the Amplified. I like the NLT as well as the King James and the Good News translation. There's some good translations, but different translations, they differ and they kind of go off on some of them. But for the most part, these are pretty good translations. So after this, I kept looking in the night visions, and behold, I saw a 4th beast. And in parentheses, it says the Roman Empire. So that 4th beast represents the Roman Empire. And that 4th beast was there in Yahushai's time. So this 4th beast, the Roman Empire, it died and it came back to life, during in the Renaissance, or before the Renaissance, the rebirth. That's the rebirth of the Roman Empire to what we have today. So now we're back. This is New Rome. And after this, I kept looking in the night visions, and behold, I saw a 4th beast, the Roman Empire, terrible and extremely strong. It had huge iron teeth. It devoured and crushed and trampled down what was left with its feet. So those teeth. Those teeth, those represent its military. Rome had a very powerful military that everything it came across, they crushed it. It devoured and crushed and trampled down what was left with its feet. It was different from all the beasts that came before it, and it had 10 horns, and these horns represent vassal states, which I'm not going to go into it right now, but this is First Maccabees chapter 8 and verse 11. It was told him besides how they destroyed and brought under their dominion all other kingdoms and isles that at any time resisted them. So this is speaking of the Roman Empire. But with their friends and such as relied upon them, they kept amity, and that they had conquered kingdoms both far and nigh, insomuch as all that heard of their name were afraid of them. So this is the Roman Empire describing how terrible they were. It says they crushed everything with their military. So they gained a lot of influence. They took over territories, they took over people, and then they a lot of times they assimilated the people. A lot of times they let them keep their thing, but basically the Roman Empire had a lot of influence because they conquered such a vast vast area of land. Verse 13, also that whom they would help to a kingdom, those reign, and whom again they displace. Finally, that they were greatly exalted. So the same thing with Babylon the Great. They help whoever they want to help. The main ones that you see them helping, which they have allies which are going to betray them, but the main one you see them helping is Ukraine and the small hats. And everybody else, even their own people, tough luck. Verse 14, yet for all this, none of them wore a crown or was clothed in purple to be magnified thereby. Moreover, how they had made themselves a senate house, wherein 320 men sat in council daily, consulting always for the people, to the end they might be well ordered. Now, this is what made them diverse, because the kingdoms that were before them, the kingdoms before the Senate, were all had kings. Now, this made them diverse because they had elected officials, they had elections, they had a Caesar, they had a Senate house, which today you have a Senate here in Babylon the Great. And being that this lesson was focusing around South Korea, they're following that. South Korea, they had a king at one point. And then before, it said it was a military dictatorship. Now they have presidents. Now they have a parliament. This and that. Following after Rome, following after the beast. Verse 15, moreover, how they had made for themselves a senate house wherein 320 men sat in council daily, consulting always for the people, to the end they might be well ordered, and that they committed their government to one man every year, who ruled over all their country, and that all were obedient to that one, and that there was neither envy nor emulation among them. So they had a Caesar, the same thing. Modern day Caesar is the president. And see that same thing today. Korea, they're following that same thing. The world is following after the same thing. And you see Korea, for an example, following the same thing. So just showing that as an example. So I'm going to go back to Daniel chapter 7 in the Amplified, and I'm going to jump down. Let's see here. Here we go. Daniel chapter 7 and verse 23 in the Amplified. Thus the angel said, the fourth beast shall be a fourth kingdom on earth, which shall be different from all other kingdoms, and will devour the whole earth and tread it down and crush it. Do you not see America, Babylon the Great? They have, following the set of Rome, they conquered the whole world back then. The known world where they were. Now, America, Babylon the Great, they've conquered the whole world. You have a military bases all over the world. Showing you also who they are. Going back to Esau, Edom. Esau, Edom, his blessing being the sword, and being that this kingdom, they conquered by that sword. And the same thing with this modern kingdom. They conquered through their diplomacy and the sword. To where they have influence all over the world. So here, that's pretty much it for that. Let's see here. This is Revelation chapter 17 in the Amplified again. And this is, I'll start at verse 1. And this is here the heading, the doom of Babylon. And then verse 1, Revelation 17, verse 1 in the Amplified Bible. Then one of the seven angels who had the seven bowls came and spoke with me, saying, come here, I will show you the judgment and doom of the great prostitute who is seated on many waters, influencing nations. So when you jump down, you can jump down. You know what? I'll go ahead and jump down. Because these waters represent, people, nations. Let's see here. Where is it? I think it's around. Verse 15. Okay. This is Revelation chapter 17 and verse 15. Then the angel said to me, the waters which you saw where the prostitute is seated are peoples and multitudes and nations and languages. So this is that who that whore sits on. You know, it sits over the entire world pretty much, influencing the whole world. And being that it's influencing it, being that it's sitting on them, it has influence over them as well. And with that influence, you're getting democracy, LGBT, TV, you know, all kinds of madness that this whore is pushing. And it's a whore because it's fornicating with all these different nations, and it's pushing all this abominations on all the other nations. So again, Revelation chapter 17 and verse 1 in the AMP. Then one of the seven angels who had the seven bowls came and spoke with me, saying, "Come here, I will show you the judgment and doom of the great prostitute who is seated on many waters, influencing nations. She with whom the kings of the earth have committed acts of immorality, and the inhabitants of the earth have become intoxicated with the wine of her immorality." So all the earth, like I read in Jeremiah 51, all the earth is drunk this whore's wine, and they're influenced. They're all committing, you know, like it says, immorality. They're all committing abominable acts. So I'm gonna jump down and basically, hey, this is coming to an end. You know, here, let me see here. I'll just jump straight to the point. Back to, let's see. This is verse 16, Revelation chapter 17 and verse 16 in the AMP. "And the 10 horns which you saw in the beast, these will hate the prostitute and will make her desolate and naked, stripped of her power and influence, and will eat her flesh and completely consume her with fire." So these 10 horns, these represents the EU. The beast represents NATO. You know, this is for another lesson, but you know, these 10 horns and the beast, these all represent things. These aren't just, you know, these are kingdoms, which I think it even says in this chapter. But for the sake of time, the NATO and the EU countries and all the countries around the world that do have how do you call it, nuclear arms, nuclear arsenals, ICBMs, they're all gonna shoot their arrows. They're all gonna fire their ICBMs on Babylon the Great and destroy this place. How it says they're gonna. Let's see here. "And the 10 horns which you saw, and the beast will hate the prostitute and will make her desolate and naked, stripped of her power and influence." So they're gonna completely strip her of everything. How? Through the ICBMs. This is gonna strip everything away from Babylon the Great, because it's only gonna be a wilderness here. There's no way this place ain't gonna have no influence anymore. "And will eat her flesh and completely consume her with fire. For the Most High has put in their hearts to carry out his purpose by agreeing together to surrender their kingdom to the beast until the prophetic words of the Most High, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, be fulfilled." So the Most High put on these different nation spirits to agree with NATO, to be united until prophecy be fulfilled. "The woman whom you saw is the great city, which reigns over and dominates and controls the kings and political leaders of the earth." So this is that whore. Well, how is it? Because who are this nation following? Look at South Korea. Look at what they're wearing. When you look at the old clothes that they used to wear, you know, they used to wear robes. I don't know what they call them, but they look kind of like kimonos. They had a different hairstyle. Everything was different. And now that who is influencing the whole world? Babylon the Great. What are they wearing? They're wearing suits and ties. They're combing their hair slicked back to the side. You know, voting, taking part in all this. You know, electing leaders, holding elections, following after the Roman Empire. And who's the number one, you know, pushing this? You know, America, Babylon the Great. You know, there's even a joke in the world. When a third world country, discovers they have oil or gold or whatever, the next slideshow is like, oh, it looks like they need some democracy. And in that picture, all it is showing like, jet fighters and bombs and stuff like that. And it looks like, saying it looks like you need some democracy. But you know what? Let me see if I can find that real quick. Let's see here. Looks like you need some democracy meme. U.S. Americans looking down on the rest of the world because we don't have to worry as much about being invaded by America. Okay. Let's see that one again. Anyway. So again, Revelation chapter 17 and verse 18, the woman whom you saw is the great city. So this was a woman decked out. She was bad looking, but this is a whore. This is a disgusting, vile, wicked whore. In the end, that's gonna be burnt up. She's gonna get that judgment that she deserves. The woman whom you saw is the great city, which reigns over and dominates and controls the kings and political leaders of the earth. So this is that whore that's reigning over the world, that's influencing people, influencing nations, that's pushing out wickedness. So let me see here. I'm gonna close out pretty soon. I'll read this again. 2nd Ezra chapter 15 and verse 14 in the GNT. The world and the people in it are doomed. The war that will bring their destruction is very near. Nations will arm themselves to fight against other nations. There will be great political turmoil, with one group trying to overpower another and gain control while ignoring the legitimate government. So again, I'll keep reading. Verse 17, there will no longer be free access to cities. So what you're going to see is these cities being cut off, whether the infrastructure to the cities is cut off, whether they're cut off by disease, or whether the MOTB, the MOTB being the main thing, because different cities, you're not going to be able to go and access different cities, especially with the 15-minute cities. You're not going to be able to have free access to cities without the MOTB, the implantable micro C-hip. There will no longer be free access to cities, because the struggle for power will bring destruction, terror, and total confusion wherever people live. So there's going to be all-out chaos. There's going to be famines, destruction, wars, people invading one another, people raiding in houses, people starving to death, cannibalism. And I don't know, what you people are going to do that are in the dark, that don't have Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. And really, it's no concern. You're going to get your judgment. Verse 19, driven by famine and terrible suffering, people will assault their neighbors and mercilessly plunder their possessions. So, home invasions, all kind the civilized place that you see now, that you think is now, and that's all out the window. And this is a time that's at hand. So it's in your best interest to get right with Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. Because the only way to make it through this is if Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai is with you. So I'll end on this. This is Luke chapter 12 and verse 49. And this is Yahushai speaking. I am come to send fire on the earth. So when Yahushua returns, he's coming with the fire. He's coming to that chariot. He's coming to be zapping stuff, to be burning stuff up with the chariot, the lasers from the chariots. I am come to send fire on the earth. And what will I if it be already kindled? So when Yahushua returns, that fire is already going to be going. Chaos is already going to be breaking out when Yahushua returns. World War III is already going to be popped off. The MOTB is going to be implemented in that time. It's going to be like I said, the peak of Jacob's trouble. And these are beautiful times. Because everything that you see, earthquakes, rumors of war, the MOTB news, everything that you see is we're one step closer to Yahushua returning. So Yahushua returning and taking down these wicked kingdoms, taking down the wicked kingdom ruled by Esau Edom, dethroning Esau Edom, the so-called white man, and then establishing his kingdom and the earth ruled in righteousness. So, Lord willing, this is edifying. We give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'Shem, Yahushai, Ba'Shem, Rakakodash, and peace and blessings to the 144,000 the rest of the elect. Shalom.